In the afternoon, I wake up to an unaccustomed brightness. Blinking my eyes open, I glance outside and notice an absence of clouds. Looks like the storm has finally passed. Zack's bed is empty and even the pongo is missing. I guess I'm the last one up, considering it's already midday. I hurry out of my bed and rush to get ready, then head downstairs. The team is already there, gathered around a table. They greet me as I arrive. Looks like the storm has passed.
Correct, which means we are able to resume our journey to Allendale.
Not exactly. We've still got some unfinished business. We have to meet up with those men to learn the secret to unimaginable power.
Oh, right, those two men from yesterday. Zack gets to his feet.
Ready to go?
I suppose so. Leanna stands as well, but Kira and Amy stay put. Are you two coming?
The invitations were not extended to us.
Yeah, plus I think it's a mage or crystal-specific thing, so that leaves me out. We'll stick around here and see what else we can dig up and meet you guys when you're done.
Amy nods. That's probably for the best. Leanna, Zack, and I exit the inn. Studying the address on the cards given to us, we eventually come across a nondescript mansion. Cautiously, we knock on the front door. There's no response. Since they're looking for mages only, Leanna does a radial scan. From the blank door, a hidden message appears. It indicates to go around to the back entrance, but only when the sun is fully set. We decide to spend our time scanning out the location for all the different exits and get as much of the floor plan as we can figured out, just in case. By the time we are done our extensive map... By the time we have done our extensive mapping, it is evening. We circle around the house to the plain wooden door. We knock twice and the door swings open. Grinning widely is one of the men who recruited us yesterday. He ushers us in through the door and into the foyer where a handful of people mill about. I take in the marble staircase and pristine tiles. Some people sit on the leather couches as we wait for whatever's supposed to begin. Bright light spills into the room and reflects off the crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling. This room looks more expensive than my entire house back home. I'd never have guessed from the plain exterior of the house. After a few more minutes, a man with slicked black hair approaches with open arms and a shining grin.
Welcome!
The room quiets down into silence as he greets us.
I'm sure you're all wondering why you've been invited here today. It's because our expert talent scouts spotted a commonality within all of you, an unmistakable ability, a mastery of the elements.
A few people sneak glances around the room. I look at Leanna, who is watching the speaker intently. Zack crosses his arms, his expression unreadable.
We too share this gift, and we too hungered for power. We spent hours upon hours honing our craft, showing painstakingly slow progress before we were introduced to the secret techniques we hope to share with you today. My friends, if you wish to become the most powerful casters in this area, then you have come to the right place. But as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. These techniques are dangerous and are not for the faint of heart. Failure can lead to dire consequences, and in order for us to continue, I need absolute assurance that you are all ready to face those consequences. If anyone is having second thoughts, now is the moment when you can walk out of here with no hard feelings.
A couple of people turn around and head back towards the door, but the majority of the group, which is still a small number of around 10 people, decide to stay.
I admire all of your courage, but I'm not surprised by your decision.
A doorway to the left of the room creaks open and the man points in that direction.
The beginning of your training is in the next room. Please proceed through the doors and our training leader will meet you there.
Low murmurings fill the silence as people begin to exit the room. As Leanna begins to pass, the strange man from before sidles up to her and lowers his voice.
So, the guild finally caught wind of this, eh?
Leanna masks her surprise and keeps her voice even.
I'm not sure what you mean.
He chuckles and nudges her.
It's alright. You can trust me. I'm actually Broodman.
He pauses as if waiting for a recognition, but we merely stare blankly at him.
Broodman? The Silent Protector? Tamer of the Wolves at Wolfsden?
Again, we make no notion of recognition.
Well, either way, we're on the same side. I know that these guys are dangerous, and I've got a plan in place to stop them.
How do you know they're dangerous? Do you know what their secret technique is?
Broodman waggles his eyebrows knowingly.
Right. Playing innocent to keep up your facade. I understand.
He winks.
Look, I was planning on taking these guys down alone, but having a member of the Mage Guild as backup would ensure the downfall of these guys. What do you say? Are you in?
Leanna frowns.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He winks.
All right. You won't budge.
He taps his nose and then fixes his attention on Zack.
I'll just pretend I didn't see the mage emblem when you first entered Wolfsden. What about you?
His voice trails off as Zack stares him down with his unblinking gaze. Broodman seems unfazed. Broodman's gaze lands on me, and he quickly shifts focus.
How about you?
I think I followed Zack's lead, but let's embrace it. I too like to deal the hand of justice. I lower my voice to a raspy whisper. I understand, brethren. Like you, I too am a silent protector and watchful guardian. They call me the Dark Knight. Leanna shoots me a warning look, but Broodman looks intrigued. We hear shuffling. I notice most of the people have filed out of the room by now.
We should get going before they get suspicious.
Broodman nods and we follow the others out of the room and into an evening courtyard. The courtyard is surrounded on all sides by walls, which upon further inspection are hallways connecting the different wings of the mansion. Because we're enclosed within the mansion, we're guaranteed privacy.
Listen up! I know what they promised you back there, and I know they made it sound like all of you, as long as you try, will be able to learn the technique for power. But they're wrong! Only those of you strong enough to handle that amount of magic will be successful, and that's where I come in. I'm here to test your proficiency with magic, and if this technique is something you can even handle.
A few staff members who are standing on the sidelines come over and begin passing out manipulators. When they reach Zack, the staff member notices his lack of manipulator and looks at him in confusion. Zack doesn't react or bother to take the manipulator from his hands either.
He passes.
The train leader walks by, and as his gaze falls on Zack's discharges, his expression changes. He turns to the staff with the manipulator and urges him to move on. The staff member begins to protest, but the train leader stops him.
He passes. I know you all have your own manipulators, but I don't care. Use ours anyway. The goal of this isn't to show off who has the fanciest gadgets. It's to eliminate any variables so we can get a more accurate read on your abilities. Now, who wants to go first?
One person steps up and attempts to cast a gale, but his nerves make his arm unsteady, and he keeps losing focus.
Enough.
The train leader shakes his head, and the man hangs his head. The staff members lead the man out of the courtyard as the next person steps up. One by one they go until it's my turn. My blood runs cold as clammy sweat covers my body.
Let's go. We haven't got all day.
I close my eyes and breathe deeply. I can do this. Just remember my training. Once my hands steady, I raise my arm and channel a gust of wind as I've done so many times before. I picture Leanna watching and encouraging me, and sure enough, a gust of wind flows through my fingers. The train leader frowns unimpressed, but the staff member who took my energy reading races over to his side. I'm pretty sure I can guess what's going on. They took a scan that said my energy levels are off the charts, and yet somehow my casting skill does not equal the energy I possess.
Pass. For now.
I nod. The train leader calls Leanna forward, and I take this time to switch on my manipulator back to my own. She takes a deep breath, gathers her energy, and raises her arm. Her blue eyes almost turn steel gray as a gale storm whips the trees in the courtyard. Leanna's hair flies around her, but she stands steady in the tempest, her gaze challenging the training leader. He raises his hand as instantly as she summoned it, Leanna ceases the storm.
Pass.
As a few people pick themselves off the ground or dust themselves off, Leanna returns to the group. Let's go with the pun. You blew me away. Dang, girl, you really blew me away with that display. Leanna groans. You threw caution to the wind and went all out.
You should stop.
I should. But making these are such a breeze.
I'm leaving now.
Wait, I'm done, I promise. They continue to move through the tests. Zack silently slinks over and joins us as Leanna surreptitiously switches back to her manipulator and does a scan of her own. She frowns at the results and lowers her voice so I can barely hear her.
I'm getting the same strange absence of energy reading that we got back at Stonecrest.
Do you think this has something to do with Void? She nods, her expression grave. The guard approaches Leanna and she quickly puts on a smile.
Ma'am, I have a message from the site commander. He wishes to meet you.
Oh?
Lucky you, Leanna.
In his private quarters.
Oh.
For once, she can't hide her surprise. The guard leaves momentarily as he goes to speak with the training leader. Leanna turns to us.
We need to figure a way out of this. There's no way I'm going into the commander's private quarters.
You have to.
What?
Quiet!
Leanna lowers her voice, but her tone is just as stern.
Do you have any idea what an invitation to his private quarters means?
Of course I do. And that's why you need to go. This is your chance to get inside and find out if this is a part of Void's operation like you suspect.
She frowns.
There must be another way.
Probably. But not on such short notice without an all-access pass to the most secure place in the entire mansion.
Leanna remains quiet as Zack's words sink in. Then she groans.
You're right. This is the perfect opportunity.
What about us?
We'll find a way inside and catch up with Leanna. When you get to his quarters, make sure you leave the door unlocked so we can get in.
I will. But you two better hurry up. I do not want to be alone with him longer than I need to.
The train leader looks annoyed and waves the guard away. We fall silent as he returns to collect Leanna. She throws us one last warning look before leaving. So, how are we gonna sneak in?
We need a distraction.
As Zack and I scan our surroundings, a hand falls on my shoulder.
Don't worry, I've got this.
Got what?
He just winks at us as he enters the center of the courtyard. The train leader looks amused as Broodman enters the testing space unprompted but doesn't stop him. Broodman stands perfectly still and takes an exaggerated breath, then slowly breathes it out. He readies his arm in front of him and summons a glowing fireball in his hand. As he aims it straight in front of him, it was only then I noticed he had strategically placed himself that he was facing a large tree. That's smart. He'll ignite the tree accidentally as part of his proficiency testing. Broodman takes another deep breath, and just as he's about to let the fireball fly, he sneezes hard. The fireball misdirects and catches on his clothes. He yelps as the flames lap at his clothes and drops to the ground and rolls. But instead of extinguishing the flames, the grass ignites where he rolls. Soon the courtyard is amuck with shrieking voices and running bodies. What am I even witnessing? Zack pulls me aside.
Now's our chance!
I nod and the two of us slip through the same door we saw Leanna go through. We enter a brightly lit corridor and try our best to blend in and stick to the few shadows in the room. We manage to escape the corridor without incident and reach another open hallway. A guard stands in the center of the room making his rounds. Zack signals for me to stay back as he sneaks up on the guard. So I think I went with him last time. I stay back and give Zack space. He has far more experience in this sort of thing than I do, so I'm happy to follow his lead. As he gets close, he jumps the guard and covers his mouth as he disarms him. I rush over and help him secure the guard into a more hidden alcove. He struggles as we place him in a chair. I hold him down as Zack approaches him.
Where are the commander's quarters?
I'll never tell.
Zack grins as he cracks his knuckles.
Ah, good.
Good?
I was hoping you'd resist. It makes interrogation so much more fun.
The guard resumes his struggles, but I continue to hold him down. Zack slowly approaches and I see fear creep into the guard's eyes.
Hold on a second.
Zack doesn't stop. He balls his hand into a fist. The guard looks at me with panic in his eyes.
I'll talk. Just get that crazy guy away from me.
Okay, I'll walk away. Zack frowns but stops walking towards him.
The commander's quarters are right down this hall, and then a left at the next fork. His is the last room down that corridor.
That's all we needed. Thanks.
With one knockout punch, the guard falls unconscious and the two of us hurry off. As we turn down the hall, I face Zack. I'm surprised that was so easy. Zack sighs.
I know. How disappointing.
I look blankly at Zack. Okay then. We sneak through the corridors and remain unspotted as we follow the guard's instructions. We recognize the commander's quarters immediately and see the two heavy mahogany doors at the end of the hall are slightly ajar. Why are there no guards in front of the quarters? Isn't that suspicious?
Not if the commander's got a woman in his room.
Fair point. We slip into the room and are immediately greeted by a frenzy of whispers from Leanna.
Oh, finally! You guys sure took your sweet time.
Calm down, we got here as quickly as we could.
Where's the commander? Leanna points to a locked door. That must be the bathroom.
He went to freshen up.
She shudders. Zack crosses his arms.
Okay, then what are you doing just standing around here for? Get in the position.
What position?
Zack points to the bed and Leanna pales.
You can't be serious!
Do you want to jeopardize this operation or what?
How would posing on the bed help with this operation?
Because while he's very distractedly approaching the bed, we'll be able to knock him out from behind. Quick and quiet, and not alerting any guards.
Leanna sighs, then lacklusterly climbs onto the bed. She lays down on her side and props her head up with her arm. Yeah, you're gonna need to take a shower after touching that bed, Leanna.
Like this?
I'm trying to rewind in last time. Because normally I would go with this just to be a jerk. Let me show you how it's done. I shake my head. Leanna, move over. She moves off the bed and I take her place. Oh god, now I need to take a shower. I lay down on my back and sling one arm over my head as I raise one knee up. This is what you should be doing. She tries to hold in her laughter as I move off the bed. Zack frowns.
No, that's not right at all. You have to be more inviting.
Zack lounges on his stomach and bends his legs up at the knee as he rests his head on one of his hands.
This is the most effective pose.
Are you kidding me? You look like you're sunbathing at the beach. That's not alluring at all.
You don't know what you're talking about, woman.
I think I'd know a thing or two more about flirting than you would.
The results at the bar say otherwise.
Oh, please enlighten me, sailor.
Leanna's face flushes at the memory. She's about to argue and the door in the bathroom flings open. A lonely man stands in front of the door, nothing more than a too-revealing Speedo.
Apologies for the delay, my sweet. I wanted to make sure that I was in.
He freezes when he sees Zack on the bed, and for a moment, nobody moves.
All right, before we begin fighting, I have a really important question.
Zack mimics Leanna's original pose.
Is this attractive?
The commander's face turns red with rage.
No!
Thank you, that's exactly what I said.
Well, it would have been attractive if I were doing it.
I'd agree to that, if anyone cares about my opinion. The commander roars out in anger. Zack rolls off the bed and withdraws his discharges in one smooth motion as Leanna's manipulator glows. I pull out my sword and ready for a fighting stance. The commander glares at us.
Do you really think that a bunch of amateurs can take out someone as powerful as I? You fools will regret ever crossing paths with a Shadow General.
He raises his arms and readies a stance, and his face falls as he realizes he's naked.
Oh, shit.
Zack shoots a blast which knocks the commander down. He smashes his head against the dresser and falls to the ground with a heavy thud. Leanna rushes to check him, her sword at the ready, but he is knocked out cold. I sheath my blade. That was easy.
They aren't so tough without their magic.
Leanna has her manipulator out and performs a scan.
He said he was a Shadow General. That just confirms that this has something to do with Void.
She suddenly focuses on an area on the floor. Prying up the floorboard, we find a large bag filled with dark spheres.
Tainted spheres.
Definitely void.
We can't leave the spheres here. We have to take them.
We'll be too conspicuous lugging this bag around.
But it would be even more dangerous to leave them here for them to use.
Also, what should we do with the Shadow General? Just leave him here? Zack shrugs. Suddenly, the window crashes open. We ready ourselves for another battle, but we recognize the figure as Broodman. He dusts himself off and heads straight for the commander.
Finally, we meet again.
Broodman doesn't seem to notice we're there as he continues addressing the commander.
For all these years, I have slowly unraveled everything you've worked so hard to build. I have been that splinter that you just can't pull out. And now I am here to finish what I have started. For I am Broodman. You killed my brother. Prepare to die.
He frowns as the commander doesn't react.
And even now, you won't give me the decency of even acknowledging my presence.
He moves in to kick the commander when we stop him.
Hey, wait! He's unconscious.
Broodman pauses.
Ah, yes, of course. He was so intimidated by my speech that he passed out in fear.
That's not what... Broodman strides to the commander and seemingly without effort hauls him over his shoulder.
Don't worry, I'll take it from here.
He launches the commander out of the newly opened window. What the hell?
We're on the second floor.
Oh,
We rush to the window. A fall from the second level may not be fatal, but it could still break a few bones. Luckily, the commander landed on a bush and looks unscathed. Broodman crosses his arms triumphantly.
all according to plan, my friends.
He climbs back through the window and lands on his feet beside the commander, then takes him away into the night. We pause as we let all that sink in.
We should get out of here before we attract too much attention.
Leanna nods. She carries the bag of tainted spheres as naturally as she can and pushes open the doors. There are 2 guards now stationed in front of the commander's quarters, and they give us questioning looks as the 3 of us slip out. Careful to close the door behind us.
Where is the commander?
Please don't disturb him. He's all tuckered out from our certain activities.
She winks. The guard clears his throat uncomfortably.
Right, I understand.
The second guard looks suspiciously at Zack and me.
Hold on. What about you two?
Oh, don't worry, we took part in those activities too. I wink and even try to hold back my laughter at their horrified expressions.
Would you like us to elaborate?
Nope, not necessary. You may go.
Zack grins as the 3 of us waltz out of the corridor. Because the commander had made it clear what his intentions were with Leanna, we had no trouble with any of the guards milling about, and were able to exit the mansion unquestioned. Once we were safely outside, we raced back to the inn. Bursting through the doors, we very urgently scoop up Amy and Kara.
Greetings upon your safe return. I assume your endeavors were successful.
Yep, everything's great, but we should really be getting a move on now. We'll fill you in on the details later.
To be honest, I would have set the place on fire before I left. Amelia looks surprised, but Kara notices the bag Leanna carries and urges Amy.
Sounds good. We've been itching to get out of here anyway. Come on, Amy. Let's go grab our things and head out. The sooner we're out of here, the closer we'll be to Ellendale.
Amy shrugs and follows Kara upstairs to grab their things. Once they return downstairs, we depart. As we leave Wolfsden, I spot the familiar dark visage of Broodman. Besides him is a woman wearing a green hooded cloak. She carries a large bow on her back. What in the hell are they doing? I slip away from the group and step closer to Broodman, making sure to stay hidden from their view. The woman has braided long white hair, and fine lines trace her tan skin. Broodman nods.
The deed has been done. Void's operation here will crumble without their commander. Wolfsden need fear the shadows no longer.
The woman nods in satisfaction. Suddenly, her gaze slides to me. I freeze, unable to move. What do I do? Broodman notices her gaze and looks at me. He flashes me a broad smile and gives me a thumbs up. The woman's face is partially hidden behind a scarf, but she nods slowly, approvingly. Then she abruptly turns and leaps up. She scales the wall and disappears onto the rooftops, silent and graceful like a cat. Broodman pulls himself up using his brute strength, following closely behind. At least, I know he's doing okay. I catch up with my friends, we continue out of the gates to Wolfsden. Yeah, I should have just said we have no time for this, man. Once we're on the road, Leanna and I fill the rest of the team in on what happened. After traveling as swiftly as we can for the rest of the evening, we decide to make camp. We choose a secluded area off the main road and set to work. Leanna and I split up to search for firewood, while Zack and Kara prepare our rations. Amy unrolls her sleeping pack and lights the campfire. Pongo cuddles beside her and watches the dancing flames. Once the food is ready, all of us gather around and begin to eat in silence. Kara playfully breaks the silence.
Foiling another void operation. Seems like just another day in the life now.
Yep, only took us 20 minutes too. We're getting the swing of things. Actually, now that you mention it, we have seen a lot of void presence lately. Were they supposed to have been disbanded and outlawed? Why are they everywhere?
Unless every single person who believes in Void's ideals and goals are gone, it's impossible to fully get rid of Void. They've always been around, even after the Tree of Assyria. They're just more secretive about it now. It's just, you won't find them unless you know where to look.
Amelia thinks.
If what you say about Void and its operations are true, then the most logical course of action would be to alert the Mage Guild or Academy of their whereabouts.
They're probably already aware of Void activities and have missions to monitor or take care of things.
It's true that the Mage Guild is involved with a lot of suspicious reports of magical activities. I'm sure many of them have some connection to Void, which the Guild would keep secret so as not to entice widespread panic.
That makes sense. A resourceful organization like that would have some serious flaws in its intelligence if they were completely blindsided by all this. Amy nods.
What has been said seems sensible.
Zack points to the bag of spheres.
What are we gonna do with those? Someone will probably come looking for them.
Leanna moves towards the bag.
We'll turn them into the Mage Guild of the next city, and let them know what happened.
She tries to secure the bag when a little blue head pops up. The Pongo dives back into the sea of spheres, and we hear contented sighs of Poi.
Pongo, what are you doing in there?
She reaches straight into the bag and pulls him out, much to the Pongo's dismay. He struggles against her grip, but she grabs him firmly. If a Pongo absorbs a tainted sphere, will the Pongo become tainted too? Amy shakes her head.
No, the way a sphere becomes tainted is by becoming supersaturated with energy, thus becoming unstable. A Pongo's absorption of energy is to turn sad energy into fuel. He is unaffected by the type of energy absorbed.
Kara looks intrigued. She scoots closer to the Pongo and tickles him. He giggles.
Huh. I never knew that.
If that's the case, why aren't Pongos used against Void? Send them into Void establishments to absorb the tainted spheres.
Absorbing spheres doesn't happen overnight. And when a Pongo is full, he'll stop absorbing energy. Just like how we can't eat anymore after we finished a meal.
Perhaps in a span of a couple months, a Pongo could remove all energy within a tainted sphere.
Exactly. The process is just too slow to be effective during a battle.
The Pongo manages to wiggle out of Leanna's grasp and plops down beside me. He stares longingly at the bag, but makes no move to return. We finish up eating and begin to clean up. Afterwards, I stifle a yawn. The stars shine pinpoints of light amidst the black sky, and their comforting glow makes me even sleepier. We've had a long day. As the rest of the group also gets ready for bed, I crawl into my bedroll and close my eyes. The night is still, and gradually I can hear the soft breathing of my friends as they each drift to sleep. A gentle shuffling noise has me blink open my eyes. I see the Pongo slip out of Leanna's bedroll and tiptoe on over towards the bag of spheres, glancing back every so often, her sleeping form to make sure she doesn't hear. When he gets close, he shuffles the last few inches of the bag and scrambles inside. The last thing I hear is a purring of poise as I drift to sleep. What can I say? He's smarter than the average Pongo. I wake up. That was a crazy day yesterday, but we somehow managed to pull through. I stand up and stretch while looking around. Everyone seems to be sleeping. Everyone but Leanna, of course. She is always up bright and early to practice. I think she's rubbing off on me because I'm waking up early these days, too. I look down at the Pongo. What the? He's a bigger blob than I remember. He grins contentedly. Were you absorbing energy all night? Glad to see you're so happy? I smile at my Pongo and pat him on the head. He snuggles against my hand. Whatever makes you happy, little guy. I stretch again. Ever since I got into the routine with Leanna, I look forward to our morning spars. Between the magic training and sword training, maybe I could eventually become a mage knight. It doesn't take me long to find Leanna back in her usual outfit. She sits cross-legged with her eyes closed as if in meditation. Her crystal glows in her manipulator, but otherwise she doesn't move. As I move closer, she breaks from her trance and gives me a warm smile.
Good morning!
Hey, just practicing energy channeling? She nods.
I was just waiting for a certain someone to wake up so we could spar.
So I think last time I said, what if I don't want to spar? We'll go with this one. It's time to duel. You've revealed my trap card.
Huh?
Exodia, obliterate. Leanna crosses her arms and frowns.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, sorry. Just had to get that out of my system. I ready my blade. Leanna looks a bit distrustful, but does the same.
We'll start with a standard spar. The goal is to knock your opponent to the ground. Ready?
My grip tightens around my blade. I nod. Let's go. We dash towards each other, and our swords meet in a metallic clang. Leanna spins around and swings her sword towards my side. I bring my sword down and hear another clash as metal hits metal. Then I push her blade back as I move to strike. Leanna easily parries it as she knocks my sword away, creating an opening. I manage to dodge her strike just in time. She ducks low to avoid my retaliating blow and thrusts her sword again. We continue to dance back and forth as the duel progresses. I can feel myself improving. I'm not having as much trouble defending against Leanna's attacks. I'm able to get a few jabs of my own in, too. Beads of sweat cover Leanna's forehead in a light sheen. It doesn't look like she's using her wind magic to buff her. Leanna matches my intensity, something she does every match. Just as I feel confident I have the upper hand, she increases her skill level, and I have to scramble to keep up again. Regardless of my improvement, I still haven't been able to beat her in a single match, and those statistics do hurt my pride a little. Maybe if I can distract her and catch her by surprise, I'll have a better chance of winning a match. I've been playing by Leanna's rules this whole time. Maybe it's time to take a play from Zack's book. Do whatever you need to win. So I want to say I did this one last time. Initiate Operation Distraction Tactics. I wonder if it's even possible to rattle Leanna. Guess we'll find out soon. What would be the best way to distract her? Sadly, the squirrel thing is way too generic for me to actually identify that as one thing. So the question is, how much of a jerk do I want to be? I know this might not be the most appropriate time to say it, but I really like you.
Wait, what did you just say?
Leanna's cheeks tinge pink, and there's a pause in her movements as she's taken aback. Now's my chance. Before Leanna has a chance to react, I strike her with the flat of my blade. She scrambles to block the attack, but leaves herself wide open in doing so. Taking advantage of the opening, I connect a shoulder tackle, and Leanna falls ungracefully to the ground. It takes a moment for this image to set in. I did it! Leanna glares at me and frowns.
Hey, that's not fair!
The student becomes the master. Now that I've bested you, I guess I need to find a new mentor. Leanna's eyebrow twitches.
What you need to go find is the meaning of honor.
Don't be so salty. Leanna's manipulator flickers to life.
Two can play at that game.
She glares daggers at me. Uh-oh. Wait, hold on, I was just kidding earlier. Before I finish my sentence, Leanna thrusts her gauntlet forward, and a powerful gust of wind pulls me into the air. Whoa! I wave my arms helplessly as I try to return my feet to the ground. Then my momentum ceases and I hover for a split second before I come crashing down to the ground. I gasp for breath as I stare up at the sky. As my vision clears, I see Leanna looking down at me with a triumphant smirk on her lips and her hands on her hips. Alright, I might have deserved that.
Might?
Let's go with definitely. Leanna laughs and extends a hand. I can't let her win on such a smug note. I grab her hand and yank her down with me. She yelps in surprise as she loses her footing and falls to the ground. Before she can make sense of what's happening, I roll over and pin her under me.
What are you doing?
That's twice you've let your guard down. She frowns.
And that's twice you've used cheap tricks.
I shrug. Well, how else do you expect me to beat an unbeatable mage knight?
Huh?
I've seen the way you fight in a real battle. You'd mop the floor with me in an instant if we sparred for real. And you used even half of your capabilities.
That's not true. In our last couple of spars, I've been pushing myself to match your intensity.
You're just saying that. Leanna shakes her head.
In the beginning that would have been true, but your growth as a swordsman has been tremendous. How much you've learned and improved in such a short time. I've never seen anything like it.
Leanna looks up at me with a genuine smile and pride in her eyes. Despite myself, I can feel my cheeks getting hot. Let's be honest. The credit should go to the person who works tirelessly to train me every day. I smile at her and she smiles back. This time it's her turn to blush, and as her eyes lock, I feel a warmth coursing through me. I'm reminded again just how amazing she really is. It still impresses me just how much time Leanna spends to help me in whatever way she can, and I'm eternally grateful. She searches my eyes with her own and her cheeks turn redder.
I suppose you did technically knock me down first, which would make you the victor in this spar.
I'll take anyone I can get at this point. She laughs. I'm acutely aware of her body beneath me, but neither one of us seems eager to move apart. There's a moment of hesitancy to hear her voice as she speaks softly.
Well, you finally got me. What are you gonna do next?
Again, her eyes search my own, like a gentle breeze urging me into their direction. The sunlight glints off her armor, and I feel the kiss of her skin as she shifts beneath me. What do you want me to do? She lowers her eyes and parts her lips as if she's about to speak, but no words come out. My gaze falls to her full lips, and I can't stop myself from imagining how soft they would feel. Slowly, I begin to bridge the gap between us, when we hear a noise beside us.
Where did you two disappear to?
I whip my head around to see a stunned Zack. He looks at me pinningly under the ground and shakes his head as he quickly looks away.
Forget I asked.
It's not what it looks like. As fast as lightning, I jump off Leanna. My face feels like it's on fire. Leanna scrambles to her feet, her face just as red as mine.
We were just sparring.
What an interesting way to spar.
Leanna's blush somehow deepens.
You have it all wrong.
Right. Anyway, when you finish up your, spar, feel free to rejoin us at the camp. Food's ready. Not that I have an appetite anymore.
Zack heads back to camp without giving us a chance to retort. Leanna points to me, refusing to make eye contact.
You stay right there.
Yes?
I'm going back first. You can follow later. We are not going back together.
Right, not together. Leanna collects her sword and miscellaneous items, then power walks away from me and back to the camp. What the heck just happened? After taking a moment to compose myself and still my pounding heart, I also gather my sword and items. Then I wait what I think is a suitable amount of time before following her back to camp. Everyone else is up by the time we return to camp. I smell the delicious aroma of food and grab myself a bowl. Once everyone is served, we sit down together to eat. Leanna makes it a point to sit as far away from me as possible. She stares hard at her food as if it's the most interesting thing she's ever seen. I glance around at the rest of the group to see if anyone takes notice. Zack remains expressionless. Amy occasionally glances at Leanna and then at her own bowl of food, as if wondering what it is Leanna has seen. I hesitate, not sure I'm ready for the inevitable teasing, then brace myself and look at Kara. She doesn't seem to notice me and is cheerfully enjoying her meal. At least Zack didn't tell anyone else. After a few moments of silence, Amelia seems to remember something and grabs a book from her pack.
Here.
She hands it to Kara. Kara blinks in surprise, and I notice it's the same book Kara gave Amy back at the Earth Temple.
You don't want this anymore.
Amelia shakes her head.
I have read through the literature and it does not contain any information which could be of use.
Really? We found it in an old temple. Are you sure it's not something that the Mage Academy would want?
Amy shakes her head again.
The text is a subjective moral lesson in the way of a fictional story about an adolescent. This yields no academical benefit.
Think prodigal son. Kara thinks, then shrugs.
Okay, if you're sure you don't want it, then I can sell it. It's still an ancient relic after all.
Do as you please with it.
Alright, thanks, Amy.
She nods and resumes eating. Once everyone has eaten their fill, we clean up camp and continue on our journey. We travel together for quite some time. Finally, the sun begins dipping low and streaking the sky with sizzling pinks and yellows. Rocks crunch under our boots as we continue down the path. The air is brisk and goosebumps shiver up my arms. A sharp breeze cuts through my clothes and I wonder how much further we need to walk. We manage to drag our way through, the chill deepening with each vanishing beam of sunlight. Kara leads the way a few steps ahead of us. Zack's expression is hard to read, but I notice him pull his coat a little tighter around him. Leanna rubs her hands together before puffing a hot breath into the cradle of her palms. The pongo nuzzles against my neck and disappears into my scarf. He's even colder than usual, making me shiver again. I guess I'm not the only one noticing the chill.
Aw, poor little guy. It's pretty cold out, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We should pick up the pace. When night falls, it's only going to get worse.
We agree. My teeth rattle from the cold. I tuck my freezing hands under my arms. The bitter breeze swirls through Leanna's hair and makes her shiver. She coils tighter into herself. Amelia's cloak balloons out behind her, and she lifts her hood over her head. So, we'll make small talk. Hey, Amy, can't you use your fire magic to keep us warm?
Such an expenditure of energy would be wasteful.
Aw, come on, Amy. She shakes her head. I let out a deep, defeated sigh. A human furnace would have been so nice. We continue on. The wind ruffles my hair and passes right through me, numbing me with cold. Even Zack folds into himself and stuffs his hands deep into his pockets. Amelia yanks her hood tighter around her ears and face and tries to keep her cloak from billowing out too much. Leanna keeps her head down, the frigid air turning her cheeks pink. But Kara is walking ahead of us with a little skip in her step, her arms dangling at her sides as she's just taking an afternoon stroll. I nudge Zack. Is Kara not cold? Zack untucks himself from his coat long enough to take a look, then his voice drops too.
Doesn't seem like she is.
Leanna hears us talking and blinks in surprise at Kara.
How is she not cold?
What kind of magic is this? There's only one explanation. She obviously knows magic. Zack and Leanna just stare at me. Never mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you guys talking about me?
My mouth drops. How does she always hear us? Leanna and Zack look alarmed too. Amelia just blinks at the commotion.
Aren't you freezing?
Kara looks at her blankly.
I don't think so.
Zack's stare intensifies. His face is frozen in a confused grimace.
Seriously? How's that even possible when you're barely wearing...
Kara tilts her head and raises an eyebrow. She smiles and the rest of Zack's sentence trails off. Leanna gapes at her.
Seriously, what's your secret?
Secret?
There's gotta be a secret to it, right? Or some kind of heating device that's keeping you warm?
Amy steps over and checks her manipulator.
She does not seem to be using any magical assistance to keep warm.
Kara laughs.
Are you guys a little chilly or something?
Leanna's trembling becomes a little more noticeable as she huddles between me and Amelia. Kara glances at each of our trembling forms, and for a moment she seems confused.
Oh, wow. You guys do look cold.
Because it is!
She watches Leanna, Amy, and I step closer together for warmth, and her expression changes, like a light bulb went off in her head. She turns to Zack, and her mouth spreads into a slow smirk. The way she's looking at him reminds me of a fox eyeing a rabbit.
Actually, you're right. I'm freezing. Ooh.
She wraps her arms around herself and feigns a violent shudder before cozying up to Zack.
I'm terribly, terribly cold.
He shuffles away from her.
What are you doing?
Kara pouts.
Trying to stay warm, of course. Aren't you cold too?
Zack frowns.
I'm not cold.
Just as he says that, the wind picks up again. He shivers and crosses his arms. A slight grin spreads across Kara's face.
Oh, of course you're not.
She moves toward him and Zack shuffles away again.
Not happening.
Kara frowns.
But I'm not dressed appropriately for this weather.
How is that my fault?
Kara looks up at him with big, shimmering puppy eyes.
Okay.
She looks defeated and sniffles.
I guess I'll try to manage somehow.
She hugs herself with another theatrical shiver and exaggerates a few more sniffles for added effect. Zack shifts side to side, clearly uncomfortable. He crosses his arms and lets out a deep, deep sigh.
Fine.
He goes to take off his coat, but Kara stops him.
Wait, I don't want you to be cold too.
Well, there's no other option.
That same devilish smirk slides across her face.
Sure there is.
She lifts up Zack's jacket and slips inside, pressing herself against him.
Hey!
What? We have to keep warm, right? This jacket is big enough for the both of us.
Zack looks like he's about to argue, but says nothing. Kara smiles and snuggles into him. Zack's cheeks tinge pink and he looks away from her. Kara notices his blush and smirks again.
Don't think I'm enjoying this. I'm only doing this because it'll be troublesome if you get sick.
Of course you are. That's so sweet, thank you.
My eyes drift over to Leanna. She glances at me and blushes before quickly looking away. Maybe that means she wants to get close too? I'm not that generous. So, odds are last time, since I was trying to be the maximum jerk, I just continued on. Let's go with this one. I wrap my arm around Leanna and pull her close. Her face turns beet red.
What are you doing?
You're cold, aren't you? Me too. Leanna's blush darkens and she hesitates. What's wrong? This is warmer, isn't it? She almost smiles, but then her gaze snaps back to the others. She quickly slips out of my arms and shuffles a good foot away from me.
No thanks. I'm perfectly fine over here.
But she shivers against the breeze, curling into herself. I arch an eyebrow, amused. Doesn't look too warm over there to me. I lift my arm up to give her room to snuggle back into my side, but she glances at the group again. It's as if she's afraid they're going to see us. I quickly glance around at the others before feigning a loud gasp. Wait, are you afraid that they're going to see that we touched? Kara, Zack, and Amelia stop. They turn to look at us. Leanna scrambles back over to me, waving her hands.
Stop it! Keep your voice down.
Oh no! Body contact! The scandal! Leanna slaps her hand over my mouth, muffling my voice, and the laughter that follows. Kara smirks.
Is everything all right back there?
Leanna blushes.
Yes, we're fine.
Kara has a wicked grin on her face. I think she's going to tease her, but instead she pulls on Zack's arm to keep moving. Leanna pulls her hand away, refusing to make eye contact.
We are nearing Ellendale. The journey should not be much longer.
Oh, really? What a shame.
Zack gives her a look.
I mean, oh boy. Yeah, it's so cold. Good thing we're almost there.
Zack and Kara quicken their pace, and we follow them for the rest of the journey. We travel for a few days. It seems to get colder and colder the more we travel, but we somehow manage. On one afternoon, we finally arrive in Ellendale.